It's a good day because today we are going to be able to hop in a real tournament draft on Underdog for 2023. This is going to be a $10 draft, $1 million prize pool. I was going to show y'all the structure of it, but we just hopped into a lobby and there's only one spot left in this one. I don't want to miss out on this draft, even though they fill incredibly quickly. I think God knows how many people are drafting on Underdog. I think they've already had thousands and thousands and thousands of drafts here in this contest, but essentially $10 buy-in, tournament style structure. They're like 100,000 total entries or something, and like $200,000 for first place. So we're going to go through, we are going to try to draft the highest ceiling team possible. And at the same time, we have to look at the fact that, hell, it's best ball. We're not submitting our starting lineup during the season. You already know this. You're already drafting on Underdog. So we are going to have to construct our roster in a little bit of a different way in these drafts right now on Underdog. Going to be 20 rounds because there's so much uncertainty and we have rookies. So we're going to be able to go through, take some exciting swing on these rookies. Of course, we are getting the 101 as we so ever deserve. And we will be taking Justin Jefferson here, ladies and gentlemen. Draft starts in 8 seconds. But thank you so much for everybody coming out. If you have not done so yet, please go down there, drop a like on this live stream as we go ahead and we draft Justin Jefferson at 1. I don't want to overthink this, almost regardless of the format that you're going to be playing in, assuming it's a 1 quarterback league. I think you should be taking Justin Jefferson at 1, especially on Underdog, where you're going through and starting 3 wide receivers each and every week. Now, Kelce goes at 4. I've seen a ton of drafts that have this exact 4-guy order off the board at the beginning. You have Jefferson, Chase, CMC, Kelce, and then usually Cooper Kupp at 5. I have been a proponent. I have been advocating for people to draft Travis Kelce in the first round over the past few seasons. And Travis Kelce has been one of my most drafted players in back-to-back years as a first-round pick. But now that Kelce is going to be going into his age 34 season, now that Travis Kelce is more expensive than we've seen him over the past 3 seasons, I can tell you right now, I was in a draft this morning on Underdog while I was at the gym, and I took Tyreek Hill ahead of Travis Kelce. I would take Cooper Kupp ahead of Travis Kelce as well in this format. So even though we've been printing money by drafting Travis Kelce aggressively over the past few years, now that everybody's on him, and he's older than ever and more expensive as ever, I'm probably going to be zigging while people are zagging this year and not taking Kelce at 4. Okay. Sean says, I've done like 15 of these drafts so far and haven't gotten a top 5 pick. Okay. First off, Sean, thank you for the donation, my friend. Second off, I will say, I think it is a serious advantage getting a top 5 pick on Underdog. At this point where these draft boards line up, I always am very uncomfortable at the end of the 3rd, the beginning of the 4th round. So I am very happy we're picking at 1. Like, I like my teams more with Underdog drafts this year when we're at the top half of the draft. And of course, if you haven't signed up for Underdog yet, you can find the link in the comment section in the description in the live chat. When you sign up for Underdog with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to 100, and you'll get our 2023 Dynasty rankings. Make sure you're taking advantage of the offer and getting in these drafts. I've been having a ton of fun in here. Now, Kevin says, no, you got to keep drafting Kelce until he isn't the number 1. I agree. Travis Kelce is still the number 1 tied into my rankings. But while we ranked Travis Kelce as a mid-first round pick last year and people were taking him at the end of the 1st and I was drafting him nonstop, I'm probably going to rank him as an end of first round pick this year. I don't see why Kelce is a better pick this season than he has been over the past few. There's an outside chance that the Chiefs are able to make a play for a wide receiver this offseason as well. So I don't know. Like, I've loved Kelce in years past, but now he's so expensive. Like, same thing if you're going to be looking at the quarterbacks here. Last year, my 3rd most drafted player in fantasy was Patrick Mahomes. We were getting him in the 5th round on Underdog. Now, if you're looking at the ADP of these guys, Patrick Mahomes has an ADP of pick 14. We're not getting him in the 5th round anymore. You're having to take him at the beginning of the 2nd. Here he falls to the middle of the 2nd. Tomato. Like, I honestly have been a very adamant drafter of elite level quarterbacks in these drafts over the past few years. And I don't know if I can do it this year. Okay. Now, Boss Matty I says, Yo, Mason, I'm a Broncos fan. How are we feeling about the Broncos wide receivers and Greg Dulcich? Well, last year, I mean, I think we all knew that Sutton was the most overrated player in fantasy. This year, I actually think that the Broncos wide receivers are fine values. I may actually be a little more willing to go ahead and grab a Sutton this year than we were a year ago, but obviously it's price sensitive. Okay, so let's see what we are going to be coming away with. Derrick Henry goes a big 22. So I actually like what we are going to have here. Now, with Breece Hall, I have made the mistake in the past of just looking at that player coming off a torn ACL saying, you know what? This is an elite level asset. We're getting a discount due to the injury. Let's go ahead and let's jam him into every single draft we can. Where usually it's taking these guys a little bit of time to be able to recover. Usually we're a little early on these players. So instead of taking Breece Hall here, we're actually going to go ahead and take some wide receivers. We're going to go T. Higgins and Garrett Wilson. It's going back to what we were discussing with Underdog, where you have to start 3 wide receivers, and it is best ball. Very comfortable with some of the value that we're going to be able to find later on at the running back position. So we're just going to go ahead and lock in these wide receivers while we can. And honestly, the way that these draft boards have been falling as of late, not going to be too surprised either if we end up looking at wide receiver at the 4 or 5 turn as well. Okay, Mark says, keeper, Kelsey or CMC. I traded for CMC midseason before the trade of the 49ers. So if you're looking at a regular fantasy football league, I am probably going to prefer to just keep Christian McCaffrey over Travis Kelce. I mean, both of them, if you're going to be looking at their career arcs, you're not necessarily assuming that they're going to be the best keepers 5 years from now. But in reality, I think a lot of people make the mistake in keeper leagues of trying to treat it like it's a dynasty format, where in reality, we should just be playing it as if it's redraft. And I probably would rather have Christian McCaffrey over Travis Kelce this season. So I don't really care if the cost is minimal. I'm just going to go ahead. We're going to take CMC. Okay. Now we have Justin Fields going to the Jalen Hurts team. I mean, in my mind, this is the worst thing ever. Y'all saw me a ton this past year, taking 2 elite level quarterbacks in best ball. My favorite thing to do at the 5-6 turn was actually grab both Kyler Murray and Jalen Hurts. One of those worked. One of those did not. To take 2 elite level quarterbacks and have to spend a 2nd and a 3rd round pick on those guys, I find it almost impossible to work out. Like, there's no way. Ben says, I missed the draft. Are we doing another one? We're definitely going to fire up a ton of these underdog drafts. I don't know if we can do it today. I was in Arizona this past week. Just barely got back for Valentine's Day. I told my girlfriend we'd have a makeup Valentine's Day tonight. So probably going to have to only do 1 draft here tonight. But we're going to get at least 1 underdog draft going every single week this offseason. And then we are going to, of course, be firing up like 5 hours of drafts every single day by the time we get to like probably July, August, September. Nolan says opportunity cost of these early quarterbacks is painful. Yeah, I'm there with you. Like, I was all about the early quarterbacks years prior. Same thing like we were talking about Travis Kelce. But at this price point, I just can't do it. Now, Jeffrey decides to go 4 wide receivers out the gate with Adams, Waddle, Christian Watson, Godwin. Usually you're actually seeing Christian Watson as well as Chris Godwin go around the 4-5 turn. Like, usually those would be some wide receivers that we were going to be looking at. But hell, I guess we may have other values that are falling to us. Like, if we're going to be pulling up best according to ADP, you have Lamar, Amari, Ridley, Hawkinson, Mike Williams, Najee Harris, Justin Herbert, George Kittle. To be honest with you, I mean, I would way rather draft Lamar Jackson in the middle of the 4th round than Justin Fields in the middle of the 3rd. Like, if Lamar Jackson were to fall to us at the end of the 4th, the beginning of the 5th, I probably would go with an elite level quarterback there. But Lamar does go pick 40. I figured it was an outside chance that we were going to get him regardless. Mark says, where would you take Bijan Robinson in a redraft league? I actually got Bijan in my first draft on Underdog this morning at the gym. I believe we got him at pick 18. We've usually seen him going around pick 11, 12, 13, 14. In this draft, he goes pick 16. And in that range, I haven't been taking him. But when he fell to pick 18 for us early this morning, I'll take him when he goes in the middle of the 2nd. Ben says, I hear you, mate. I've got 31 big boards drafts so far, but hoping to get in another with you. Thank you so much, my man. Yeah, it's more than I've gotten in. To be honest with you, I've gotten in a decent amount of the little board drafts on Underdog. Those are the $3 drafts on Underdog. Just really trying to practice, get in as many reps as I can, because a lot of the drafts that I've done early on, I haven't liked my team. I think we've done a very poor job just building the roster that we've wanted. So we're still trying different things out. This is a $10 draft, but this is a special draft. We're on a live stream, so I think we can afford it. Okay, so let's look at this. What are we going to get to? Axel has Burrow, Chase, and Mark Andrews. Okay. Terry McLaurin goes 47. So let's look at what we will have on the way back around. On the way back around, I'm probably going to be looking at wide receiver, to be honest with you. I haven't really done this so far. Let's go Herbert and Kittle. I haven't built a team like this. Usually I've been punting these quarterbacks and tight ends and taking 3 in every draft and waiting a very long time to get our first or second player at either position. But like I said, going back to what we were discussing previously, I think the best thing about these underdog drafts right now is it's going to allow us to get in so much practice where we feel comfortable with almost any draft strategy, where by the time we get around to those high stakes drafts, then we should be able to go out there and crush. But let's go Herbert, Kittle, and we'll figure it out from there. Okay. Taylor says, so Mason gets unlimited entries, ? Do you get a max of 2 entries on the thing? There's no way, right? Let me see if I can get in a little board draft right now. Little board. Okay, so this is my 5th big board draft, and I've done 2 little board drafts. Can I not get in another little board? I was literally planning on doing that this morning. I was in one this morning thinking, oh, okay, well, this will be fun. I can do this every day at the gym. Okay, never mind. Yeah, I guess you get a max of 2 entries. What the hell? Well, that sucks. I guess we're going to have to do the $10 drafts from now on. We have to dive deep into our pockets. That sucks. Mark says Calvin Ridley top 10 next year. What do y'all think of the Calvin Ridley ADP? So Calvin Ridley has been usually going in the 3rd round. This is honestly the latest I've seen Calvin Ridley fall, going at pick 45 here. I would have been very excited to take Calvin Ridley at pick 48 if he would have made it to us, but usually in round 3, it's been difficult for me to take Ridley, even though I really want to root for him, even though I really want to be on him. It's been difficult. And also, if you have not done so yet, please go down there, drop a like in the live stream. It looks like 25 of y'all done so. So thank you. But come on, can we make that 26, possibly 27? Okay, so Goddard, Kyle Pitts, go pick 59-60. DeAndre Swift all the way down at 61. I mean, DeAndre Swift was sitting at the top of ADP back when we were selecting at the end of the 4th, the beginning of the 5th. I was with the underdog team in Arizona for the Super Bowl, and people that are way smarter than me, like Josh Norris, was saying that he did not like DeAndre Swift in the 5th round, and he thought DeAndre Swift should be going a little bit later. You have Javonte Williams, pick 62. Nolan says, too early for me, plus a Trevor Lawrence stack feels too expensive. I'm right there with you, my friend. Like, if I were to take Calvin Ridley in the 4th, I would have a very difficult time taking Lawrence in the 5th. Maybe I'm a hypocrite for saying that because obviously I go through and I take Justin Herbert, pick 48. Maybe I need to change my mind, but in my opinion, I still view Justin Herbert in a different tier than Trevor Lawrence. Like I said, I could easily be wrong here. It's just difficult for me to go through and view them as the same player. Dalvin Cook going off the board at 65. So like I previously said, I think a big reason we should try going Herbert Kittle here at the 4-5 turn is I felt like looking at how the board was going to be at the 6-7 turn, we were going to be primarily on wide receivers in this range, but it looks like all the quote unquote value falling is going to be at the running back position. We've yet to draft our first running back. It is round 6. Not a big deal one way or another. Sean says Christian Kirk in the 5th over Calvin Ridley in the 4th. I'll say I definitely prefer Ridley over Kirk. Where Ridley usually goes in the 3rd, I may agree with you. I would rather have 5th round Kirk than 3rd round Ridley 4th round Ridley, where Ridley goes in this draft, I think is appropriately priced. Like if Calvin Ridley is going at the end of the 4th round, I'll probably be drafting me some Calvin Ridley. Chris says, Mason, great to see you. There is no offseason. Great to see you, my friend. Thank you so much for coming out. Okay, so yeah, we have some more wide receivers off the board. Honestly, if I knew that this is how the board was going to look when we were coming back around, I possibly would have decided to go ahead and pass on Herbert and Kittle in favor of some wide receivers. Dobbins goes. So you know what? Based on the tiers, I think that we are kind of having our hand forced to take Dameon Pierce as well as Alvin Kamara. Now, Dameon Pierce definitely not safe this offseason. We've seen time and time again that those teams that hit on running backs on day 3 of the NFL draft are very quick to replace them. For this reason, we've been saying to sell Dameon Pierce in Dynasty for almost a year now. But hell, if we think about it, Dameon Pierce had a phenomenal rookie season, right? And where was Dameon Pierce going in redraft leagues right before the NFL kicked off? He's going in the 5th. Dameon Pierce was going before this. So I understand. Trust me, I've been screaming that there's a lot of inherent risk with Dameon Pierce. But at this price point, I think it's a fine roll of the dice. I mean, we already are elite at wide receiver, have a respectable quarterback, have a respectable tight end, and just have to go through and try to backfill some of this running back depth. Now, Taylor says, do you think Kamara is not going to get hit with the big suspension? I think it's definitely a possibility that Alvin Kamara is suspended this next season, but just like it's a possibility that Dameon Pierce sees added competition to the Houston Texans backfield, it's kind of baked into his price. If Alvin Kamara was a 0% probability of getting suspended this next year, would we get Alvin Kamara in the 7th round? Hell to the no. I mean, if that was going to be the case, if we knew he wasn't getting suspended, Alvin Kamara would probably be a 4th round pick. I don't think he's ever going to be a 1st round pick. Like, of course, we've been used to him since 2018. But while it's a possibility that Kamara gets suspended, we're drafting him in the 7th round for a reason. Morgan says, who's your favorite rookie wide receiver to draft right now? So if we're not talking about cost and we're just looking at my wide receiver 1 in this rookie class, I'm going JSN. I mean, it's boring for me to say it because we've said it so many times before, but Jackson Smith-Njigba has 1,600 receiving yards compared to Garrett Wilson at like 1,100, Chris Olave at like 900 when they were all at Ohio State. The same season. Yes, JSN played 2 extra games. The one game you had with no Garrett Wilson and no Chris Olave, JSN had like 347 receiving yards in a bowl game. Like, I'm all in on JSN. He's my wide receiver 1. I've said it time and time again. I know you're probably tired of it. If we're looking at cost adjusted, where Jackson Smith-Njigba here is going in the middle of the 5th, I would actually probably prefer Jordan Addison in the middle of the 7th. I think a lot of people that are NFL centric have Addison as the wide receiver 1 off the board because JSN doesn't have the speed, but I think that honestly both are fine picks. Okay, now Darren Waller going pick 84. I don't know what to do with Waller. Bateman goes 85. I really don't even know what we're rooting for in terms of positions falling. I feel like we have such a balanced roster at this point with Jefferson, Higgins, Wilson, Herbert, Kittle, Pierce, Kamara, that I feel like we can almost go in any direction that we want. Taylor says JSN is a Raven as much as you hate to hear that. LOL. That would be brutal. If Jackson Smith-Njigba went to the Baltimore Ravens, I would say he probably falls to the, 8th, 9th round of these drafts. Like, I don't think there could be anything worse. I saw a mock draft the other day that had JSN going to the Giants, which I mean, I personally love. You go to the Giants and you're the number 1 wide receiver the second you step into that locker room. I think that'd be great. Hayes says, I've been in more than one draft where JSN gets picked up in the 3rd. LOL. Okay, well, yeah, that's horrible. Obviously, I don't think we even have to say that, but JSN in the 5th, I'm okay with. Okay. Now let's smooth this down. Morgan says, first time hearing us talk about the rookie wide receivers. My friend, if you don't know, I actually have a Dynasty channel. Just look up Dynasty Football Flock on YouTube. I'm assuming 99% of people know this that are watching this right now. But yeah, so we've talked about the rookie wide receivers nonstop then. Could y'all let me know in the live chat real quick? We have like 150 people out here. Please let me know, because I just naturally assume that everybody who's watching this knows that we've been posting every day on the Dynasty channel. Can you please let me know in the live chat? Are you a subscriber of the Dynasty Football Flock, or do you even know it exists? Please let me know that. Okay, so it looks like maybe wide receiver is not even going to be a possibility for us here. The OJ says, been watching for like 2 years and I had no idea you had a Dynasty channel. Parker says, started out as a Dynasty Flock guy. Thank you, my man. Cameron says, yes, sir. I'm honestly surprised there's anybody in the chat that didn't know that. That's why I never promote it or anything. Chris says, I know about it, but don't play Dynasty, my man. Yeah, and that's why I don't promote it at all. And that's why I put the Dynasty content on the Dynasty channel, because people who don't play Dynasty, I don't want to bother you with it, even if it's my favorite way to play. Okay, so Tua goes pick 94. I'm honestly not I don't want to say too much. We're about to be on the clock. I don't want to get sniped here. So Tua goes 94. What is this team doing? Okay, go Zay Flowers. I'm not a big fan of taking a tight end or a quarterback here, if I'm going to be honest. I feel like maybe I'd be a little more willing to if we didn't take Herbert and Kittle already. And I don't love the wide receivers in this range. I'm actually probably going to go back-to-back running back here. We're going to go ahead and we're going to take A.J. Dillon with the outside chance that you end up getting Aaron Jones cut from the Green Bay Packers. We're also going to follow it up with Zach Charbonnet as a running back that has the size to be a three-down player and can catch the ball out of the backfield. Really, there's not much else that we can be looking for. So yeah, in the past 4 rounds, we've gone for running backs. I actually kind of like the way that this team's shaping up. Usually in the drafts that I've done so far, we've really just gone so wide receiver heavy. We're sitting with about like 7 wide receivers through the first 9 rounds at this point. I mean, usually we've been going overboard, but looking at this construction, being able to come away with the wide receiver room of Jefferson, Higgins, Garrett Wilson, quarterback, Herbert, Kittle, running back, Pierce, Kamara, Dillon, and Zach Charbonnet. I really like this. Okay, well, apparently Aaron Jones just restructured, and I did not hear that. When did that happen? Are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me here? Okay, that happened yesterday. Okay. Well, I guess I am wrong, ladies and gentlemen. If I were to have known that, do we make a change? Let's think. Would we go Brian Robinson instead? Honestly, probably not. I'd probably still go A.J. Dillon. Because, I mean, if you think about it, where was A.J. Dillon going this time a year ago? A.J. Dillon was a 6th-round pick consistently. The thought process is you're getting touches on a week-to-week basis. He can occasionally find his way in your starting lineup when he scores a touchdown. And if Aaron Jones were to go down, the man can be a top 5 running back in fantasy. So, honestly, it's a less exciting pick. I definitely still stand by it, though. But thank you for letting me know that. That's embarrassing. I didn't know that. Hayes says, how do you feel about Tyjae Spears? To be honest with you, a lot of those secondary running backs going to be very difficult for me to have a strong take on them until we actually get the NFL Combine. I mean, rookie wide receivers, I'm very comfortable talking about in depth, giving analysis on, because so much of what correlates to fantasy success at the wide receiver position is collegiate production. Whereas at the running back position, it's almost entirely up to NFL draft capital as well as official size, combine numbers. Really the only thing that we're going to be looking at when it comes to running back collegiate production translating to fantasy points is actually going to be their involvement as a pass catcher. Tyjae Spears at Tulane, I mean, had 22 receptions in 14 games played his final season there. I mean, if you're going to be looking at the passing volume in the offense, I mean, it was just a normal offense where they're throwing the ball about 27 times per game. So respectable target share. I don't know. I think we're going to be able to have a much better take on him whenever we actually get those official numbers. But a big thing is whenever we're looking at drafts right now, I'm trying to take players that I think their ADP can dramatically swing by the time we get to May. So if we're looking at a player like Zach Charbonnet, I think that any of those secondary rookie running backs, we can see them dramatically move up draft boards. Would I be that surprised if Zach Charbonnet by the time we get to the NFL draft is going to be going in the 7th, 6th round? No, that's a possibility. I'd say the same thing with guys like Tajay Spears, where even if you don't have a super strong take with them, they are going to have a ton of movement. They could either fall back 3 rounds from where they're being drafted or move up 3 rounds from where they're being drafted. So it's not a bad idea to swing on a couple of rookie running backs in every draft. Okay. Okay, Chris says, hey, Mason, is there any sites out there to mock a redraft format? Been trying to practice, but only seen best ball. Be honest with you, my friend, I don't really think so. The issue is if you're trying to get in like a mock draft that's not like an underdog best ball league, what's going to happen is maybe you can find one and get like 3 rounds into it, and then just everybody's going to bail. Why I love these underdog drafts more than anything is it's a $10 draft, $1 million prize pool. So you enter it and you know nobody's leaving. You know you're going to be in this draft room with everybody. Everybody's going to be paying attention to the very end. So I personally just love firing up these underdog drafts. On Underdog, they have the $3 drafts going as well, if you just want to get in a few of those for fun and practice. And of course, link in the comment section, link in the live chat, promo code Flock. At this point, are we just having to pivot back over to the wide receiver spot? I think so. I think if we would have had Trey Lance fall to us, I think Lance would have been an easy selection. Let's look at what we'll have on the way back around. I think we almost have to take 2 wide receivers here. If we're going to be looking at Josh Downs versus Tyler Boyd, Elijah Moore, Josh Downs actually really reminds me of Elijah Moore coming out of school. But the thing is, I think when in doubt, we want to be taking a few of these rookies in every draft, as we've been saying, because I would be surprised if Elijah Moore sees a massive swing in his ADP one way or another. I feel like Elijah Moore is just going to be kind of consistent there as we go through the offseason. Whereas with a player like Josh Downs, if he does surprise people in the NFL Combine, probably not going to be a great athlete. He could end up moving up these draft boards almost regardless. I actually like him as a late first, early second round NFL draft pick, someone to play a little bit underneath and just generate target volume as a pseudo slot wide receiver. Chris says, oh, that's a very good point. People always try to bail out after the first 4 rounds. So maybe time to try best ball for the first time. Appreciate it. You know, definitely. I mean, it's so difficult to try to find a real mock draft that isn't like best ball on Underdog that's going to be good, because what happens is people draft the first 3-4 rounds of their team, and then you're just drafting against computers the rest of the way, and it just does not mean anything. Now, what record says, love the show. I'm in a keeper league, 2 only 1 at different positions. Do we keep Jalen Hurts, Devontae Adams, Breece Hall, or Travis Etienne? Thanks. Keep on rocking in the free world. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, my friend. I mean, if I was looking at this, I think we're probably going to go ahead and keep Jalen Hurts and Devontae Adams. I love Breece Hall. I love Travis Etienne. I mean, I think obviously you make the adjustment if you know that your league values running back a little differently. At this point, it's going to be a little difficult to get away from Devontae Adams. Now, we have, in my mind, probably a mistake on my part. We went ahead and took Josh Downs, Donovan Peoples-Jones. We had Justin Herbert on the squad. We probably should have stacked up. We probably should have taken Joshua Palmer at the 10-11 turn. It is what it is. You live and you learn. Chris says, I'm in a 10-team league. Does Underdog have a 10-team format? Let me pull this up, my friend. So the tournament drafts are going to be 12-teamers, or at least the 2 that they have live right now. But they also have just normal drafts that aren't tournament structure. Let me see if they have a $10 contest up right now. Yes, they have a 10-person draft. They have pretty much every draft imaginable. They have a 3-person draft, a 4-person draft, a 6-person draft, a 10-person draft, a 12-person draft, a 14-person draft. They have slow drafts. They have fast drafts. They pretty much have whatever you want, my friend. Grant says, is this for Dynasty? No, my friend, it is not. But Tyler Higbee goes 135. Usually at this point, I have 0 tight ends, and we're just going, oh, okay, does a tight end fall to us one way or another? I want to say my favorite targets later on in these drafts, but at the same time, I want to have the option to be able to actually get them on the way back around. So it's difficult for me to say too much at this point. Misa says, what should our expectations be for Deshaun Watson? Am I the only one who thinks he's going to bounce back in a big way? I was really in on Deshaun Watson this past year. I thought Watson was going to come in and be an elite level quarterback. Clearly, we were wrong. I think right now he's being drafted as like the quarterback 8 off these boards, which seems reasonable. He was not good this past year. One of the reasons I'm fine taking Donovan Peoples-Jones where we do is the Cleveland Browns, since they gave Deshaun Watson the most guaranteed money in NFL history, since at the same time they gave up 3 first-round picks to go get him, they don't really have a lot of assets to add weapons to Cleveland. So, kind of is what it is. Now McKinnon goes. We have a run on tight ends. Honestly, thank God we took Kittle. The next best tight end we're going to have is Gerald Everett, Zach Ertz, Michael Mayer, Mike Gesicki, Hayden Hurst. Kayshon Boutte goes 139. It would have been an interesting upside shot. So the rookies we have on our team right now are Zach Charbonnet and Josh Downs. See what Krug decides to do. I think this is a regular drafter on Underdog. I've seen him in a ton of the rooms. Goes Bryce Young, pick 140. If he did not take Bryce Young, we would have. So I'd be surprised if any of these teams decide to go quarterback. I mean, they all have 2. This guy has Tua and Goff. This guy has Burrow and Geno. I actually may surprise y'all here. So we just always have to be thinking of what's going to be available to us on the way back around. Gibson goes. So actually, we're going to nail in 2 running backs. These are going to be probably the last running backs that we draft. Keep in mind, it's a 20-round draft. So it's very interesting, the running back room that we have. I would say very rarely are you ever going to see a draft that looks like this. So we have Jefferson, Higgins, Garrett Wilson, Donovan Peoples-Jones, and Josh Downs at wide receiver. Quarterback, we have Justin Herbert, George Kittle. And then a running back, just a super weird room of Dameon Pierce, Alvin Kamara, A.J. Dillon, Zach Charbonnet. Elijah Mitchell, in my mind, is a very similar pick to someone like A.J. Dillon, where he can randomly pop into your starting lineup if he randomly scores a touchdown. But at the same time, if the running back goes down in front of him, then all of a sudden you potentially have a league winner. And Leonard Fournette. With Leonard Fournette, I mean, it's the grossest pick in the world. I believe he was second at the running back position this year in receptions, only behind Eckler. Like, it's disgusting. You're not excited about it, but there's a reason he's going, I mean, in the same round as Isaiah Hodgins, Romeo Doubs, and Tajay Spears. Jerry says, what is your opinion on Dak going forward for Dynasty? Is he a guaranteed starter for at least 3 to 4 more years? Let me pull up the Dak Prescott contract. Last I looked, I think Dak's contract's really only guaranteed this next season. I could be wrong. Yeah, so in 2024, they could decide to move on from him and they could save about $14 million. And then after that, it's all avoidable. After that, he has no guaranteed money left. I don't want to say he's a guaranteed starter for the next 3 to 4 years. I think it's probably likely that he is. But it's hard to say it's a guarantee. Now, at this point, once we take both Elijah Mitchell and Leonard Fournette here, we are definitely hoping that more running backs go off the board. ER7 says, Mason, do you play Xbox? Sadly, I do not play video games, my friend. Now we have Gerald Everett 152. So I have an idea of what we're going to do at quarterback and tight ends. Stafford makes it all the way to 154. I really like the Stafford pick. Like, to be honest with you, if I was making rankings today, and I know this is going to sound horrendous to a lot of y'all, I'd rather have Matthew Stafford over Geno Smith. Geno Smith here goes 119. Matthew Stafford goes 154. Like, not even considering the prices. Just give me Matthew Stafford straight up. Rondale Moore goes. Okay, let's swing this back around. Like I said, we have 6 running backs. We can't really take any running backs anytime soon. We're essentially QB, wide receiver, tight end. Really hoping that some more running backs go off the board soon. Sky Array goes Kenny Pickett 156. Is he on auto? I don't know. I mean, the Kenny Pickett selection makes sense for him. If he takes CJ Stroud, he's probably on auto draft. I would say he's definitely on auto draft. He takes a 4th quarterback here. Well, that sucks for us, ladies and gentlemen. Well. That is not good for us. I'll be honest with you. Usually at this point, we didn't even invest this much in the quarterback position in the other drafts we've been doing. So, Mark says he would sell his soul for Trey Lance to the Bucks. I'd really like Trey Lance to the Bucks, my friend. Let's see. What's crazy to think about is the 49ers paid 3 first-round picks. To get Trey Lance. Paid 3 first-round picks. Okay, so Odell, MVS, Alec Pierce. So after we take Leonard Fournette, we've seen 1 running back go off the board in 16. NF42 says, hey, Mason, drafting with you. Good luck this season, big dog. Thank you so much, my man. And thank you for drafting with us. I appreciate it. Alec Pierce goes. Alec Pierce is someone that I've actually been drafting some here. Penny goes. Come on, please take some running backs. Okay, these are the players that we can take. Nico Collins goes 163. Okay, I have my eyes on 2 players in particular. We'll see if we get them. Jerry says, for best ball, is your strategy to limit yourself to a certain number of quarterbacks and tight ends to fill up on running backs, receivers? Are you taking best player available? Do you fear injury risk if you only take 2 quarterbacks? Yes, but in these tournament drafts on Underdog, you really have to be thinking not necessarily for the worst case scenario. You have to be thinking for the best case scenario. And that, I mean, just for an example, we won the big dog draft this past year. So it was a $250 buy and we won $100,000 with that draft. We don't get there by thinking, okay, I need to make sure that I insulate myself from injury risk. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Claypool. Don't think he's a good player, but I think they just spent the 32nd overall pick to go trade for him. So I think he probably has a role. And we're going to also reach for DJ Chark here, a wide receiver that I think could be the premier free agent in this class. So you have to have a strong understanding of roster construction when it comes to Underdog. I would say typically in the 18-round drafts, you're going to be drafting anywhere from 2 to 3 quarterbacks, 4 to 6 running backs, 2 to 3 tight ends, and then as many spots you have left over, you're going to be going with wide receiver, and you're just going to be going back and forth determining how many spots you need to pick with each position based on how early you draft them. So if you wait to draft your quarterbacks until late, you can probably grab 3 of them. If you wait to draft your tight ends till late, you probably grab 3 of them, but you're not going to grab 3 tight ends on a team where you also drafted Travis Kelce. ER7 says, we see your lineup on the winning squad, and do you have a video of the actual draft? Would love to see it. Yeah, I'm going to be covering that once we get closer to the season. I mean, you could definitely go through and look at some of the recent videos that we had on the channel, like how he won 150,000 this year. That was a video that we probably cover it in, or like something around like, I don't know. Just look at some of our recent videos and live streams. We covered it. We made a live stream saying this is what has to happen for us to win 150,000 going into the fantasy football championship weekend. Now, so Tyquan Thornton goes 174. I actually don't mind the Tyquan Thornton selection in best ball, of course, as a wide receiver. That was the fastest wide receiver at the NFL Combine a year ago. Doesn't really matter too much from a fantasy football standpoint, but it ended up getting him drafted in the second round by the New England Patriots. He should be a wide receiver that has a role this next season. And really, that's going to be the only thing that you're looking at in this range of the draft is just guys that we are almost guaranteed to have a role. Okay, so Mike Gesicki goes 177. Samaje Perine 178. We still need to add in probably 2 more tight ends and 2 more quarterbacks. Same how it goes here. For the love of God, since we need QB, we're really hoping that this guy does not go through an auto draft the 5th quarterback. I don't even know if Underdog will allow him to auto draft the 5th quarterback. I think instead it would probably auto draft him Hayden Hurst and then auto draft him Zach Evans. We'll see. Yeah, auto drafts him Hayden Hurst, and then I'm assuming that he's going to be getting Zach Evans here as well. Actually, no, he comes in and makes his own selection. He goes Cordell Patterson. So this team, Jeffrey Epstein, I'm assuming... okay, this team's just dead. I like the idea to get Q with it and wait this long on running back. But if you're going to do so, I feel like you have to dedicate like 7 roster spots at minimum to the position. Okay, and like I said, we can no longer draft RB. So this is what we're going to be looking at. Trev says, move the 101 for the 102, 110, and Daniel Jones. Is that a win or a loss? I think it really does depend on your league format that you're going to be playing. And I'd say probably it's a win, but it has to be a deep dynasty league. And of course, Superflex, but I think that goes without being said. Okay, so let's make our 2 selections here. We got Trey McBride going to 187. Just gets real gross around this range. Jeffrey Wilson, 188. What are the running backs looking like? Running backs are gross too. I don't really regret anything. We're probably going to make a couple selections here that people don't love, but it is what it is. We're going to take Will Levis. And then... I know people aren't going to like this, but these are 2 guys that I've drafted almost together in every single one of these drafts, as bad as that sounds. I know they're not probably going to be starting at the beginning of the season, but it's going back to what we were discussing earlier. This is a $10 buy-in for a $1 million prize pool. We're drafting for the highest ceiling possible. Will Levis and Anthony Richardson both have rushing upside. They both have the possibility of being selected inside the top 10 picks of the NFL draft. Don't think they're going to come in and be phenomenal rookies, but if they're both going to come in and be starting quarterbacks year one, and not only starting quarterbacks, but starting quarterbacks with rushing upside, I'm fine taking them round 16, 17. I've been doing this a ton, to be honest with you. I like this move way more than the Sam Howell 179, Jordan Love 158. or even Jimmy Garoppolo, 191. Like, maybe from a median projection standpoint, Jimmy G is better. But in terms of trying to find someone who can actually win you your league, I'm going with the rushing guys. Paris Campbell going 196. And we have 3 more picks. Let me show off this entire draft board real quick. So we were at 1 wide receiver. We have Jefferson, Higgins, Garrett Wilson, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Josh Downs, Chase Claypool, DJ Chark. Brandon definitely need another wide receiver. Quarterback, we have Justin Herbert, Will Levis, Anthony Richardson. Running back, we have Damian Pierce, Alvin Kamara, A.J. Dillon, Zach Charbonnet, Elijah Mitchell, Leonard Fournette. So we're probably going to do here with the final 3 rounds, we're going to go ahead and we're going to be taking at least 1 to 2 more wide receivers and then 1 to 2 more tight ends. So we don't exactly know who, but let's just get an idea of what is available. And my dog's going nuts. And the draft's about to end, so I may actually just have to cut the live stream here. I don't know if y'all can hear the dog, but I do not want to get in trouble. So, likely Bellinger. Okay, yeah. So we're going to be going either probably 2 more tight ends, 1 more wide receiver. But I think that's all I got for you. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for hanging out with us this live stream. We're going to be doing a ton of these drafts on Underdog this offseason. Thank you. I appreciate you. Really hope you have a great weekend. And really hope we get to see you with the live stream next week.